afternoon, everybody. Wait a minute. Good afternoon. Come on. Contrary to, I don't even know if this is popular opinion, but, contrary to the opinions of others, I don't think I'm cool at all. I definitely didn't grow up thinking I was cool. I was popular, but not because I was cool. Probably because I had a certain amount of independence and self-confidence from a young age. That's probably what made me cool, because I always wore like funny clothes, and kids were always like, "What does she have on? What is that? What are those shoes? Why'd you put those shoes with that shirt? That doesn't match." And then I'd go, it's cool. And then like 3 or 4 months later, they'd have it on. And I said, "But wait a minute, you said that my shoes didn't match my shirt." And they say, "Well, you know." So I just, it's so funny. Every time I hear someone read, I guess, my resume or the things that I've accomplished, I always sort of feel embarrassed, because they're really not my accomplishments to be proud of, I'm not even a person who speaks well, so to be invited to these types of events always overwhelms me, because without the power of God behind everything I do, I really am completely inadequate. I fumble. I always drop the ball. Every time I try to prepare something, I stutter, I stumble, and, what I say is of no effect. But what I found is that every time that I pray before I speak, and I ask God for the confidence and that He be glorified in everything that I say and everything that I do, for some reason, words just come out of my mouth. So please don't be convinced by what people say. I'm not brilliant. I'm not a genius. I'm not even gifted, really. I mean, I have gifts, but these are things that all come from God and through me. I'm 25 years old, which means that we're not separated, by a lot of years. I remember high school like it was 15 minutes ago. And I remember my high school graduation. I didn't get to go because I was on a set of Sister Act 2, and everybody was kind of like, you're filming a movie, why are you upset? But I was really, really distraught. I was really hurt that I couldn't make it back to my high school graduation, because I realized that those things were like so important to me, beyond the, all of the films and the media and the music and the industry things. I really appreciated my friends. I really appreciated my home. I really appreciated graduation. I really did. I appreciated. We had a teacher. His name was Mr. D. Mattia, and there were some kids in the class used to call him D. Motts. And D. Motts was like this funny guy who was really one of those quiet teachers. So we did a lot of bad things in his class, and this was like a pretty advanced class, but we really acted up. And but I mean, those memories are the things that I hold on to, and even right now they ground me. I just wanted to, I guess I'm here, because I really didn't understand why I was here. I feel like I'm 25 years old and I haven't done anything for you guys to be looking at me and saying, what has she done? But if there are any questions about what is ahead for you, please feel free to ask me, because everything that is out there, everything that I'm privy to, so are you. If you get that into your system and get that into your spirit and understand that, we're not separated by anything, not time, nor space, not talent, nor gift, just acknowledgement and understanding where our gifts come from. So really, I think I'm here to answer any questions or to be helpful if anyone has any questions about some of the type of things that I've done.
All right, I wanted to ask you what kind of resistance that you met, because I've heard you talk about artists' responsibility, about conveying positive messages to the young people to listen to their music, and I want to know what kind of resistance you met in popular culture and in the record industry in general.
You know what I love? I'm telling you guys, please believe me, 5 years ago I was this. I was like, what kind of resistance did y'all meet in the industry with popular culture when the time was perhaps per se? I was so that. Oh God. And now, let me tell you, where I am now, I accept and I understand that I don't know anything. First of all, the music industry is just a microcosm of the world. So whenever you stand for something and you stand for goodness and truth, you will always get resistance. That's period. Whether you're in the pharmaceutical industry, the record industry, or whatever. Whenever you stand for truth and for the service, the service of others. See, I could make money very easily. I could make records that are self-indulgent and, basically self-promote me. I could do that. I could do that. Promote myself. That was redundant, but you know what I mean. Just do those things. It's very easy. As a matter of fact, lyrically as an MC, that stuff comes easy. But in order to promote something higher, I feel now, at the ripe old age of 25, that the only thing that I could do is serve others. You understand what I'm saying? And because there are people who have not reached that point in their walk, yes, there's a little anger, there's a little resentment, because you raise a standard, you especially when you do it and you make some noise, and you do it and people actually listen to what you have to say, and like your record is bumping on the radio and you're saying something that holds a mirror up to a lot of the negativity and self-indulgent things and messages that a lot of other people, but we're all young. I have a hard time being so hard on the music world, especially hip-hop, because most of them come out of the hood 17 years old, having no clue or concept, having no concept of what life really is. And because hip-hop is so fast and what we like changes so quickly, by the time they do get a concept, they're no longer making records. So I've been put in this unique position. I have this very unique responsibility that God has made me aware while I still have the mic, and it's like I was expressing to my good friend today. I said, my mother, she taught me, she raised me with certain morals and certain standards, but like any kid, when I was out there with my friends, I cut up, I wilded out, acted up amongst people whose mothers may not have taught them the same ideals. But every time I acted up, it was like my mother was always right there. She was always there, like, Lauryn, I see you and you know better. And I got in trouble. And that is how my Father in heaven responds to me. Listen, I told you don't do that. I told you don't do that. And I told you that you better have the courage, because the kids, they may talk about you. They might say bad things about you, but when you come home, what I have waiting for you, if you do what I tell you to. And also what I have waiting for you if you don't. So that's enough for me. That's enough for me. I have reached a place, and I'm telling you, I'm so blessed to have reached this place where, 5 years ago, I was so thin-skinned. Whatever anybody said would just, oh, my God, they don't like this rhyme, and oh, my songs, and and then one day I woke up, and it was like my skin was just, it was so thick, it was impenetrable by those fiery darts. They just had no effect. And I realized that that was a strength and a confidence that only came from a higher source. And, we have to be determined, and you have to know that, for me now, I'm learning that it's more important to be righteous than to be right. I've tried to be right. This is right. This is an injustice. This is a travesty. I'm right. But I've been very unrighteous. And still right. Oh my God, because you can attack someone completely right, but it doesn't resolve anything. It doesn't it doesn't solve your problem. So I understand now that the battlefield and that the war is so much greater than what we see before us. I live in this physical body. This is like my address, like 22 Eder Terrace. I just gave everybody my address, but that's my address. Fight me, no. But this is where I live, but there's something much deeper. Who I am, has nothing to do with, the hair and the shoes and stuff, even though I like shoes. But, it has nothing to do with that. So I you know, and what I do, I mean, I find there's a lot of power in prayer. So I pray for the people who don't understand me. And I tell you, to be honest with you, I pray more now to be understood. No, excuse me, to understand than to be understood. I pray now to learn how to love than to be loved. Because God has given me an abundance, so, you know, I don't need God. These people don't understand me. They think I'm crazy. Every time I'm on the mic, they just, you know, it's not about that. I pray that I understand them so that I can talk to them, minister to them even more. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm just not afraid of, you know, it's of no effect. It's immaterial to me. Because our enemies are not physical bodies. They're actually our family. They don't know it, and we don't always know it. But our enemies are not, you know, they're not flesh and blood. And our problems are not flesh and blood, even though we think they are. I hope that, I know that was very, like, I don't mean to sound ethereal, because what I'm saying, I'm telling you, is heavy as bricks. It's concrete. It's very concrete. Sometimes it can sound like doo-doo-doo-doo, you know, but it's not that. You know, it's like, who saw the movie The Matrix? Okay, okay, good. Then we can start from a point of reference. Matrix was a banging movie to me, and the reason why I appreciated it so much was because, do you remember at the end when Neo like realized his potential? He started to see the binary code. You remember that, the whole world? Well, that's where I'm trying to be spiritually. I'm trying to see the Word of God in the whole world. So every time that agent throws a punch, I'm like, I see you. Oh, okay. You know, I'm just catching his punches. You know, so I'm not afraid. You know, I'm not afraid because I'm starting to see that. You know, things are just, situations materialize themselves and, oh, he's an agent. You know, but here's the trick. Here's the trick. You know, here's the trick, is that you have to remember that sometimes you can be an agent. You can be an agent to yourself. You can be an agent against someone else and not even realize that you're being used, you know? That's the Matrix. Yes.
You said that from a very early age you had a lot of self-confidence and self-esteem, and I was wondering what your mother or your family or whomever instilled in you that gave you that self-confidence.
Oh, let me not even say that. My mother is there. She's right there, and I was going to say the belt. No, I'm only kidding. No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. I'm joking. Every time I say that, my mother thinks that I make her look so bad, but no, there was just, you know, a friend of mine put it this way. My mother used to make me sandwiches, and not physical sandwiches, but spiritual sandwiches, okay? She would give me bread, and the bread was encouragement and love. And then the meat was the correction, okay? And then there was another piece of bread, which was the encouragement and the love. So that worked, you see? That worked, you know, and she just dealt with me in truth at all times. You know, no, wait, let me go back. Wait a minute. That's not true, because there was this one time, do you guys remember those plastic shoes, jellies? Listen, I wanted them so bad, my mother told me I couldn't have them because they would melt on my feet. And I was like, you know, you grow up now and you realize, what you said? And that's why I have on plastic shoes right now, because I wanted those jellies. And there was, you remember those raincoats, the clear ones? She told me that I would suffocate if I wore one of those. You didn't, but you know, no, I'm serious. But she dealt with me in love. There was a certain amount of, there was a huge level of freedom in our relationship, because we exercised choice from an early age. But at the same time, there was discipline. You know what I mean? There were parameters, but we could choose. You know, I remember her telling me stories about when I was 5 years old. Every Saturday, of course, it was on a school day, but Saturdays and Sundays, she would allow me to dress myself. And of course, I would put on, you know, my cowboy boots, like some crazy skirt, a flash dance sweater, you know, ridiculous, just looking real crazy. But at that point, from 5 years old, she was allowing me to be an individual, allowing me to be unique, you know, and we just had a very nonconformist family, a very loving. Love is so important. A loving environment. You know, to this day, I can't tell you how blessed I am to know how much love. And let me tell you, because when you get out there and you realize, see, I grew up in a big family. My grandmother had 13 kids, and it was always a lot of us, and we just, we just thought everybody's family is like this, until I met other people who were scarred. My fiance, it's so funny when two people meet in a relationship, everybody has baggage. We all bring baggage to every situation and every relationship. But the good part is that, when you find someone that you think you have something in common with, you recognize the bags. You're like, oh, that's Samsonite, I got that. That's a toiletry bag, you put a toothbrush in there. But when I met my fiance, I had my little travel kit, and he had like U-Hauls. And I was like, whoa! I was like, what goes in there? And I'm be very honest, very intimidated. And you couldn't have found two people who, were more, who we were just incompatible, but there was love. We loved each other, and I was like, why do I love this man who talk, That's how he talks, and this Jamaican pattern, and I was just like, what is this? But God brought us together, and God worked it out, and I'm just, love, I tell you, love is that confidence. Love is what you give your children. Love is what you give. Let me tell you another thing about the Matrix. Going back to the Matrix, is that I was always confused about it. I always thought that, the Matrix was battling the enemy out there, picking them out. I'm going to find those enemies. I'm going to get that enemy. Until I realized that until you conquer the enemy in yourself, you can't deal with anyone. In order to be used by God, you have to really be used. We always want to be used for the glorious jobs. Let God put me on the stage in front of the people in the Grammy show with a nice dress on. Let me just praise your name. But that's not being used. Sometimes in order to be used, you also have to be humiliated. You have to be humiliated sometimes. You have to be kicked and beaten. And in that situation, the person who's kicking and beating, he's feeling more pain than you are. Love is an incredible thing, and we don't know love like we should. We always talk about, I have unconditional love. Unconditional love is, we don't even know it, because if a person stops stimulating us, we stop loving them. You're not interesting to talk to anymore. Goodbye. But that real love that sometimes is difficult, difficult to have, that's that love. And that's a confidence builder. Thank you. That was very long. For one little question. Okay. Yes.
You've melded a lot of things in your music, like hip hop and reggae and R&B, and you put different influences together in ways that are really interesting and new.
Thank
and
you.
It's hard to be new when so much has been said and done in art. And I wanted to know, is that where you think that music and arts too? Is that where you think they're going?
I hope so. I hope so. As far as I hope so. I hope so. I'm encouraged. I'm very encouraged. I mean, I'll be very honest with you. As a musician today, I'm not in the studio right now, and everybody in my world thinks I'm crazy. What's going on? You need another album out. The time is running out. You have a certain window to make music. And for a little while, I listened to that. And I was like in the studio working real hard, trying to get it done. And music was created. Definitely music that I think people will appreciate, but it wasn't my best. And it wasn't my best because there was no substance. And there was no substance because there was no experience. I'd gone from the studio to the stage, back into the studio again. And the only reason why The Miseducation was the album it was because of a myriad of experiences that took place before the production part, before the creation. So what I realized is, you know what, I can't create and not live. I can't be in this vacuum of, of creativity without life. So, in hip hop, we're all trying to get to this next level without, as my brethren says, without the next level finding us. It's like life is peaks and valleys. And some people think some people explain that as good times, bad times, but I actually think it's learning or let's say learning mastership, okay, or study mastership. Now, I went from the top of one mountain. I'd mastered something. I'd mastered something and people appreciated it. But, you know, once you're on the top of that mountain, you have to go this way. But in hip hop, everybody's like, I'm not moving. I'm the master. I'm great. I'm dope. I'm hot. I'm here. I've arrived. I'm not going anywhere. And that's what you stay stuck on top of on one hill, one mountain, when, you know, God's intention is that we study and master a bunch of different things. And so here I am descending this hill, and everybody's like, where you going? You know, we're supposed to be on the top of the hill. But it's exciting time. It's definitely exciting time for me because I'm at the foot of another hill. You know, this hill, you know, is different. You know, it's totally different. You have to navigate it different. But I get to learn. And then once you learn and you go through that, you are on the top of another one. So I would just encourage everybody, never be afraid of not knowing. Never be afraid of not knowing. You know, find out. Because that's how you get, you know, to mastership. You know, and don't be afraid of that. We don't have anything what's the word I'm looking for? Let's not be mediocre in our greatness. You know what I mean? Like, think big. Think big. And think in doses. Think in experiences. And don't be afraid of experiences that teach you. Don't be afraid of that. We don't always have to be so, you know, our generation is just so, you know, we're just cool all the time. It's like, I'm always cool. I'm a baller. I have all the women. I know everything. You know, and that's not realistic. No one knows everything at every time. No one is just that cool all the time. I mean, maybe some of you in the audience are, you know, but nobody is, you know. So don't be afraid to be that, because when you are uncool, that's the road to cool. But when you're cool already, that's the road to not being cool anymore. So, you know, don't be afraid of that. Did I hopefully gave you some insight as to music? I'm sorry, guys, I'm not a very good speaker. Was that it? Oh. Can I just say one thing? I just want to say thank you for having me. Okay, thank you. I was blessed to be in this room with you guys. I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I really am. Just stay encouraged, you know, and just know that there's a higher force that he knows the way out of the matrix. Okay? Thank you, everyone.